This video shows how a school administrator can set up his or her school's policies. To do this, first click on the School tab, and then under Admin, click on the Policies tab. And these policies basically constrain what students, teachers, administrators, and parents can do within the school. Now, the first setting, which is the most important, is something called Walled Community, which is enabled by default. And if you set up a walled community, it basically keeps students within the bounds of their school. So for example, they can only enroll in classes provided by that school, or they can only send and receive messages with their parents or other members of the same school. Under the administrator section, by default, an administrator can see all of the user ID and passwords of registered accounts within the school. Some administrators, for security purposes, don't want to even see those IDs and passwords, even though they still want to be able to reset them. So you can always change this setting very easily. The same thing applies to teachers. Teachers can also create groups under the School tab by default, but you can always disable that feature if you want. As far as students go, you can enable or disable most features of the site independently. So for example, if you want to stop students from sending messages to each other, you can disable that feature. If you want students to be able to create groups under the School tab, you can enable this feature, and so on and so forth. And then finally, by default, a parent can access their child's lessons, the class resources, their child's assignments, and the actual submissions of their children. But some schools, for example, would prefer the parents not to be able to see their own child's submissions, so if you want to, you can disable that feature. And we highly recommend that one of the first things that you do once you actually start up a school is that you set up its school policies.